Imagine this. One of the most powerful men in the world, a billionaire with connections to politicians, royalty, and celebrities, suddenly dies in a high-security jail cell under circumstances so suspicious that millions are left questioning everything. I'm talking about Jeffrey Epstein, a man who many believe should have faced justice for crimes that shocked the world. But somehow, he never did. Before we dive deep into the shocking truth behind Epstein's death, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Global Economy Insights, because we're uncovering secrets the mainstream media want to tell you. Trust me, you'll want to stay till the very end. Jeffrey Epstein was no ordinary criminal. He wasn't just a wealthy financier. He was someone who wielded influence like a weapon. Accused of running a vast network that abused underage girls, Epstein had connections stretching across the globe. Presidents, prime ministers, Hollywood stars, and even royalty were reportedly within his circle. The question that haunts everyone is, with all the evidence and testimony against him, how did Epstein seemingly escape real justice? And more importantly, how did he die in a way that fueled millions of conspiracy theories? Let's start with the events leading up to his arrest. In July 2019, Epstein was taken into custody on federal charges for sex trafficking minors in Florida and New York. The case was massive, with more than 20 accusers ready to testify. Many thought this time he would finally face life behind bars. But what happened next was anything but ordinary. Epstein was placed in the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York, a facility that was supposed to be one of the most secure in the country. Cameras, guards, and protocols were meant to ensure no one could harm him. Yet, on August 10th, 2019, the news broke. Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his cell. The official ruling was suicide by hanging, but almost immediately, inconsistencies emerged. 2 cameras outside his cell reportedly malfunctioned that night. Guards fell asleep during their shifts, and some reports claimed that his injuries didn't match the typical patterns of hanging. Experts in forensic pathology noted that some of Epstein's injuries were more consistent with strangulation than with suicide. These anomalies ignited a firestorm of suspicion. Was it really suicide? Or was Epstein silenced to protect those who might have been implicated in his crimes? And then there's the timing. Epstein's death occurred just days after a court had approved the release of previously sealed documents that allegedly contained explosive details about his connections. These documents could have exposed the names of the powerful elite involved in his trafficking network. With Epstein dead, many believed the trail of evidence would go cold, conveniently sparing influential figures from public scrutiny or prosecution. Over the years, Epstein's wealth and influence were shrouded in mystery. He owned a private island in the Caribbean, a mansion in Manhattan, and properties in Palm Beach in New Mexico. Each location was reportedly used to host lavish parties and gatherings, some of which were alleged to involve underage girls. Witnesses and victims spoke about systematic abuse, but whenever authorities tried to get closer to the truth, legal loopholes, non-disclosure agreements, and intimidating settlements seemed to halt the process. Epstein wasn't just protected by money, he was protected by a network that some argue stretched into the highest corridors of power. It's impossible to ignore the strange coincidences surrounding Epstein's associates. His close friends and business partners included Ghislaine Maxwell, who's later convicted for her role in trafficking underage girls, and prominent figures in politics and entertainment. Yet many questions remain unanswered. How deep did the connections go? Who else might have been involved? And why did the system fail to hold them accountable? Epstein's death removed the chance to directly interrogate him, leaving the public with an incomplete picture of what happened behind closed doors. Adding fuel to the conspiracy theories is the fact that Epstein had survived previous legal challenges. In 2008, he received a highly controversial plea deal in Florida that many considered far too lenient for his crimes. The deal allowed him to serve only 13 months in a county jail with work release, privilege-on arrangement that seemed unimaginable for someone accused of molesting dozens of underage girls. Critics argued that Epstein had leveraged his wealth and connections to negotiate justice in his favor, and the 2019 case was seen as a last attempt to finally hold him accountable. But with his death, the story took an abrupt and suspicious turn. Social media and internet forums exploded with theories. Some claimed that Epstein had been murdered to prevent him from exposing powerful allies. Others suggested that he faked his death with assistance from those in high places. Even after official investigations, doubts persist because key questions remain unanswered. How did the jail protocols fail so spectacularly? Why were guards negligent at such a critical moment? And how could one man, with all the oversight and surveillance, die in a facility designed to prevent exactly that? The case of Jeffrey Epstein has had ripple effects far beyond his death. His associates, the victims, and even the justice system have all felt the impact. Lawsuits continue, investigations persist, and documents continue to be released, each revealing fragments of a complex web of exploitation, power, and secrecy. Yet, the central figure of the man who allegedly orchestrated it, will never answer questions in a courtroom. Epstein's death effectively closed the door on direct accountability, forcing the public to rely on secondary sources, testimonies, and speculation. In examining why Epstein never faced real justice, it becomes clear that money, influence, and secrecy were central. Legal loopholes, high-profile connections, and systemic failures allowed him to avoid facing the full consequences of his crimes. His death, whether by suicide or foul play, ensured that the most tantalizing details about his network would remain largely hidden. And while some may argue that the truth will eventually surface, millions remain unconvinced, convinced that a combination of power and corruption shielded Epstein from real accountability. Even today, the Epstein case serves as a cautionary tale about how influence can distort justice. Victims continue to seek closure. The public continues to demand answers, and the world watches as fragments of the story trickle out. For many, Epstein's death is not the end of the story. It's just another chapter in a saga of power, secrecy, and unanswered questions. So, what can we take away from this? Epstein's life and death are reminders of the importance of transparency, vigilance, and the need to question narratives that seem to convene it. While the official story says suicide, the unanswered questions linger, prompting debate, speculation, and relentless investigation. Epstein may be gone, but the mysteries surrounding his death and the elite circles he moved in remained very much alive. If this story made you think, question, or even shock you, don't forget to like, share, and comment below. Subscribe to Global Economy Insights for more videos that dig deep into the stories others want to cover, because the truth often hides behind layers of wealth, power, and secrecy. The Epstein case may be closed officially, but the discussion is far from over, and your voice is part of keeping it alive.